Hello Curious, and welcome back to our channel. Without a shadow of doubt, the life of Britney Spears wasn't a walk in the park, as the documentary Framing Britney has proved, and problems with regards to her conservatorship still plague her to this very day, with court hearings being like the norm. While we now know the extent of the problems that the Princess of Pop had with the press and the media's portrayal of her, do we know what else plagued the singer in the early 2000s? Why did the singer move out of her house and stayed at a hotel until finding a new place? What things did she say about it? And who was the next tenant of the mansion? And what do people find freaky about it? Stay with us until the very end to find out all the gossip, but before we continue, don't forget to hit the bell and the subscription button so that you don't miss any of our future videos. Britney's court battle against her father and the conservatorship seems to be never ending, with each side bringing new arguments and demands. As many of you know, the singer's desire to have her father removed as her conservator has caused the Free Britney movement to pick up once again, and one that she is thankful for. Spears' attorney has told the judge that she is afraid of her father and that in a bid to make her point and wishes heard, Britney has said that she will not perform again if her father is in charge of her career. Recently, while appearing on Good Morning America, Jamie Spears' lawyer had talked about the whole situation. Vivian Thoreen appeared on the morning show and to speak on Jamie's behalf. She had said that while she understood that people needed a villain in the story, they have gotten everything wrong, and the lawyer added that this was a story about fiercely loving, dedicated and loyal father who rescued his daughter from a life-threatening situation. And they went on to add that at the time, people were exploiting her and taking advantage of her financially, and that ultimately he had saved Britney's life. And while this was something that she herself agreed with in the past, that she needed the help, things have surely changed. And given that the singer has been wanting to do things to change this, as the documentary has highlighted. So if you want to know more about the other things that the documentary had revealed and touched upon, you can do so by checking out our previous videos, but for now, make sure you stay with us as we have much more interesting things to tell you. Though it seems that right now, taking into account her promise not to perform while her father is her conservator and the current global pandemic, the singer is taking time to be a normal person. While social media was going crazy upon the release of Framing Britney Spears' documentary, the singer took to her social media to write, "I'll always love being on stage, but I am taking the time to learn to be a normal person. I love simply enjoying the basics of everyday life." It seems that when not battling it out in court, the singer is taking the time to spend it with her boyfriend and just relax away from the public eye. And while the press might continue writing about her, chances are that they won't be able to disturb her in her privacy of her own house. And speaking of Spears and her houses, it turns out that in the past, she might have not always been able to find peace and a safe haven in them as she does right now. Cause back in 2001, not long after the success of her second studio album, Oops, I Did It Again, she had signed a $7 million deal with Pepsi, and after that, she bought a house with a celebrity property hotspot that was the Hollywood Hills, and she bought the mansion near the Sunset Plaza for $2.9 million and lived there with Justin Timberlake when the two of them were together. However, it soon turned out that possibly that might have not been such a good place. And while everyone is talking about Britney due to the documentary, some are bringing up some of her behavior from the time that she bought her house that might have been seen as irrational, but fans reckon that might have saved her. Last month, We Need to Talk About Britney podcast has made a comeback after more than 10 months break, and right off the bat, things seem to be going great as they scored an interview with Julianne Kay, who just so happened to be her makeup artist between 1999 to 2004, and she was more than happy to spill the tea. Julianne talked about those days, which some refer to as Britney's glory days, especially given since it all took place prior to the conservatorship being in place. She talked about a couple of scary run-ins that the singer had with not only the paparazzi, but also fans, even some not so savory messages that threatened her life. However, the main thing that everyone was taken back was by the story about the time that the toxic singer realized that her new pad was haunted. Now, we understand that some of you might be confused, so hold on to your hats as we're about to tell you all that we know. Kay had said that upon Britney's request that she had a friend of hers drive up to her place and perform a Reiki healing of the singer. For those who aren't aware of what that is, then let's just give you a quick explanation. Reiki is a Japanese form of alternative medicine called energy healing, and in the interview, Julianne had said that she attributed the request to the singer just having a crazy party over the weekend and needing to relax. But it was after the friend left that things started to get weird and somewhat paranormal. Spears had claimed that they must have opened some kind of spirit portal or something like that, as she claimed bad spirits had come into her house, and Julianne had said that she was told that there were two, male and female, and that Britney said they had tried to push her down the stairs or something crazy like that. And after that, the singer got really spooked and went to stay at the Casa del Mar hotel, and she allegedly never set foot in that house again. And it was those events and that energy that made her put her house on the market. From here on, things get a little bit spookier, so be sure to stay with us until the very end. Allegedly, the singer didn't have much trouble selling the place, as in 2003 the property was bought by the late actress Brittany Murphy for $3.9 million, and so the 8 Mile actress became the owner of the 8,000 square foot home. Besides its impressive size, the house had a 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom, and the master suite alone was 2,000 square feet, and the mansion also included a home movie theater, a massage room, an elevator, as well as a high-end finishes and appliances. Not long after the purchase was finalized, the actress moved into the property with her mother Sharon. Do you think that at the time anyone could have guessed that in a couple of years that place would become the scene of a double tragedy? The mother-daughter duo must have been close because she had continued living at home even after her daughter married Simon Monjack in 2007. Though in such a spacious house, surely that wouldn't have been an issue. The first tragedy in that house occurred when, at the age of 32 years old, she had passed away at the house on December 20th of 2009 after she had collapsed in the master bedroom. And according to a coroner report at the time, the cause of the tragedy was a number of things: pneumonia, anemia, as well as a mix of different medicines being found in her system. And it was the last part of the report that had left many to theorize whether it was just another Hollywood tragedy that involved illicit substances. And while that was a tragedy itself, just 5 months later on May 23rd of 2010, Murphy's 40-year-old widower husband passed away at the very same house, just like his wife, with the cause being actual pneumonia and severe anemia. A source who lived close in the neighborhood had said that no one could have ever predicted that a tragedy of that magnitude would have occurred at that house of that quiet, cul-de-sac. So they had said that it is still shocking to this day, as it was back then. After Monjack had passed away, many sources had pointed out that the Hollywood Hills property was filled with a toxic black mold that may have contributed to the untimely passing of the couple. Investigators at the time had also found that inside of the house, it was suffering from pack rat and hoarding situation. That added to the theory that the dust and the possible mold would have exacerbated pneumonia that Jack and Britney were suffering from. Sharon Murphy filed a lawsuit several years after her daughter's passing that alleged it was the mold that was responsible for the tragedy. Other family members had suggested some other kind of poisoning, as private lab tests had shown that Britney had abnormally high levels of heavy metals in her system. For many, that had raised even more questions and left a lot of things unexplained. As an executive to Murphy's estate, her mother attempted to sell the home at a profit of $7.24 million. For a long time there were no buyers, but in the end, in 2011, the price was lowered and the property sold for $2.7 million, which is just $1 million short of what the clueless actress paid for it. Though following the new We Need to Talk About Britney podcast episode, fans are starting to think, could there have been more to it than just the environmental factors? Some had brought up in the interview that Monjack gave to The Hollywood Reporter following his wife's passing. He told the publication that she absolutely hated that house so much that she even planned to move the two of them and her mother to New York City. He also added that every time we would drive up, sunset, Britt would say, "Please, can we stay at the Beverly Hills Hotel?" I'd say, "Honey, you've got to be realistic. We have our house and we're gonna stay in it." So if you want to know more about Britney, you can do so by checking out our previous video about the actress. While some internet users were quick to point out a paranormal aspect of the whole situation, taking into consideration Spears' story, others have suggested that maybe her visions of some spirits could have been due to the toxic mold. And some had even pointed out that coincidence that while Britney had mentioned a male and a female spirit, many years later it was a man and a woman that had lost their lives in that house. But if some of you are interested in living in a house with such history and have a considerable amount of money just laying around, then you might be keen to know that this house has been completely renovated and modernized and is now available on the market, but with a considerable price increase of $19.75 million. And so curious, did you know that Spears had sold her Beverly Hills mansion to Brittany Murphy? Were you aware that her husband also lost his life in the same house and the same causes? And did you think that the mold was to be blamed for at all? Or were there any other supernatural forces at play? Let us know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and we shall see you in the next video.